These are the 5 biggest DFS tips for week 1. I am Alex Caruso with the 33rd team, and this is our in-house DFS expert, Jordan Vanek. We're going to be covering the best players in each position for this week. Let's start at quarterback and work our way down. Jordan, who's that first guy for you that you can't get enough of this week?
Joe Burrow. This is obviously his week back from injury. Obviously, he's been practicing. He says he's good to go, and I believe him. This is a spot against the Cleveland Browns where they're switching defenses. It's not the Joe Woods defense, which kept 2 safeties deep. It's a defense where they're going to keep 1 safety deep. They're going to press these wide receivers, and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins in cover 1 / like cover 3 single high safety situations are a nightmare matchup. I think this is one of the explosion weeks from Joe Burrow, who hasn't been able to get the best of the Browns in his career, but this is a week where they put up big numbers, and he's not as popular as some might think because you only have Justin Herbert, who's in a better game environment that's just $200 cheaper on DraftKings.
What about the running back position? Joe Burrow obviously is the first player to start with running back. Maybe you can stack that with the T. Higgins or Jamar Chase, but who's the first guy at running back?
Nick Chubb. It's a perfect run back in this game. I'm not fearful of Nick Chubb's third down loss of, the passing game. I think he's going to see some passing work. Like, obviously, for the longest time, he hasn't because Kareem Hunt has been there. But Derrick Henry didn't see third down passing work until it was just like he's the only guy in the backfield. So now this is a spot. Nick Chubb is expensive. He's a perfect run back, though. And I'm seeing on some sites he's coming in less than 5% rostered in DFS this week.
Wow. What about the wide receiver position? If it's not this Cleveland and Cincinnati game, where would be the first place that you're going as far as the wide receivers?
Calvin Ridley. The Colts are starting a rookie corner on the boundary or a second-year player that only played 95 coverage snaps. He was targeted 10 times, gave up 8 catches for 88 yards. This is a spot where on the outside, the Colts are weak. I think their front 7 is good. I think their safeties are very young, but also promising. Their outside corners are the weakness of this team, and this is a perfect spot for Calvin to get acclimated to playing regular season football again, and a spot for Trevor Lawrence to hit him on a few deep balls.
Is there any worry whatsoever with the fact that they haven't gotten like full NFL live action? Like it was a couple drives in the preseason, but outside of that, we haven't seen enough. Is there any expectation or any worry at all for a slow start?
I mean, for me, the only thing is the offensive line. If they're not able to protect long enough, but Trevor Lawrence is mobile, he can get, extend some plays, and I think he can make it work with Calvin down the field. So I'm not worried about that aspect until it's showing to me that maybe the Colts defense line is better than I thought, or if they're not able to connect on some of the deep balls because of just lack of timing. But I think that's going to be a good matchup for him, and I think they're going to show it off in week 1.
Even though it is week 1 right now, might be one of the toughest tight end slates that we have ever seen, because even the best tight ends right now have some really tough matchups this week. Travis Kelce's not going to be playing on Sunday. Mark Andrews has been limited. Like, where do you go for this tight end position that might be one of the hardest weeks that we get all season?
I completely agree with that statement. I was struggling to kind of pick my best play at this position, but with the fact that I'm playing the Joe Burrow environment in Cincinnati and Cleveland, I want a tight end that takes away from one of the bigger games. And one of the bigger games in this week is that Miami LAC game. It's going to be extremely popular. And the player that's not popular right now is Gerald Everett. He's a tight end that we've seen Kellen Moore get Dalton Schultz plenty of work in the red zone. We saw him do it with Jake Ferguson. Gerald Everett's a guy that I can see scoring touchdowns. And at the tight end position with how weak it is this week, it's kind of all you're going to need. He's a little bit pricey at 4,300. But that just makes him less popular in a way to get a unique option in that game. So you're not fighting all the Justin Herbert lineups, because if he throws a touchdown to Gerald Everett, you're gaining some of that advantage as well.
Did you consider going someone like Tyler Higbee at all in this stretch? Because I know as far as, redraft leagues go, Tyler Higbee's been a popular waiver wire target. Is there going to be any reason to be playing him, or do you think he might be a little bit more chalky this week?
He's going to be chalky this week. And on top of it, I think the Cooper Kupp loss is hurtful towards him, because now linebackers and safeties, it's like we're not worried about Tutu Atwell as much as we are with Cooper Kupp. Higbee is going to get a little bit more keen on action. And then on top of it, Seattle got Bobby Wagner. He was just a part of this scheme in LAR, and he knows exactly where Higbee's been matched up, where he gets utilized a lot. And it's one of those spots where I could see him kind of knowing what play is coming and how they want to attack each other. So it's going to be an interesting week for Tyler Higbee.
And what about the defensive side of the ball? Again, we have not seen any of these defenses play. There's been a lot of personnel changes, a lot of scheme changes. Like, where do you think is the best way to find value in this first week before we've seen anything?
So the Commanders defense is the chalk of the week. They're in a great spot against the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, we know that they're not the best situation, but if you want to get different, I think the way to do it is with the Green Bay Packers. I know the Bears are an exciting team. Everybody's excited to see them, but we still haven't seen that offensive line be super dominant. And this is a spot where the Packers still have a pretty good front seven, pretty good defensive secondary overall. And it's if Justin Fields is getting sacked, if you just get that one play, they're the same price as the Commanders. And in defense, there's a lot of variance. You need defensive touchdowns, and that's your way to victory. So for me, the Packers are the way to go over the Commanders defense this week.
I love that. I have a lot of them already. I would love to see them do really well. But don't forget to tune in every single Friday at 10 a.m. for more DFS tip goodness each and every week with Jordan Vanek. But until next time, don't forget to go and make the best lineups possible.